Hello and welcome to our today's edition of news with me, Charity Chilanga. First, let's have a look at the top stories. Pope Leo XIV calls for peace for all children as Christmas nears. Roads Fund Administration defends toll revenue use amid demands for greater transparency. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency calls for fertilizer recovery and reform of FISEP. And in international news, 130 kidnapped Nigerian students freed after 1 month in captivity. We do have the details to these and many other stories. Stay tuned. Pope Leo XIV has prayed that all the world's children may live in peace, encouraging the faithful to become welcoming signs of God's presence as they prepare for the birth of the Savior. Reflecting on the figure of St. Joseph during the midday Angelus on the fourth Sunday of Advent, the Holy Father invited Christians to reign from the virtues of piety, charity, and mercy that educate the heart to encounter Christ and one another. We have a Vatican News report read by Falles, which is on there.
Reflecting on the Gospel of the day, Pope Leo focused on St. Joseph, recalling how God revealed Joseph's mission through a dream. He noted that Joseph responded with great faith and courage, remaining keenly sensitive and deeply human even in the face of immense challenges. Addressing the pilgrims and faithful gathered in St. Peter's Square, the Pope explained that Joseph initially chose a discreet and benevolent path of mercy toward Mary, even before fully understanding the mystery unfolding in her life. When the angel revealed God's plan of salvation, Pope Leo said the purity and nobility of Joseph's heart shone forth even more clearly as he accepted his role as a spouse of the Virgin Mother of the Messiah. With a great act of faith, the Pope observed Joseph abandoned his last sense of security and entrusted his future entirely in God's hands, demonstrating total trust in divine providence. The Holy Father highlighted the virtues of St. Joseph, describing piety and charity, mercy and abandonment as attitudes proposed by today's liturgy to accompany the faithful in these final days of Advent. He said these virtues help believers to encounter Christ and their brothers and sisters and to become for one another a welcoming manger, a hospitable home, a sign of God's presence. Pope Leo encouraged everyone in this time of grace to follow Joseph's example by forgiving, encouraging, and offering hope to those they meet, while renewing their trustful abandonment to the Lord through prayer. He added that the Virgin Mary and St. Joseph remain close to the faithful, having been the first to welcome Jesus, the Savior of the world, with faith and great love. At the end of the Angelus, the Pope greeted those present in St. Peter's Square, including more than 1,500 children from Rome, as well as groups from Spain and Hong Kong. The Roman children presented the Pope with their bambineri, the figulas of the baby Jesus, that would be placed in nativity scenes in homes, schools, parishes, and oratories after being blessed. Addressing the children, Pope Leo invited them to pray for his intentions, asking in particular that all the world's children may live in peace, before imparting his blessing and wishing everyone a holy and peaceful Christmas.
Catholic Church leaders in Malawi have warned that rising unemployment and increasing living costs are pushing many young people into betting, exposing them to serious social, moral, and economic risks. The warning was made on Sunday during the closing mass for the Young Catholic Workers YCW National Annual General Meeting held at St. Joseph's Teachers Training College in the Diocese of Luntha. More details in this report read by Falles, which is on there.
Bishop of the Diocese of Luntha, His Lordship Right Reverend Peter Adrian Chifokwa, said betting is increasingly being seen by young people as a way of surviving in a difficult economic environment marked by high unemployment. He noted that some young people who depend largely on their parents for survival turn to betting in the hope of earning an income, but warned that the practice often leads to destructive habits.
For example, it can leave somebody with a tendency to steal, thieving spirit, because you want always to be available for betting in hope that you are going to make more money. So I have warned them against this trend so that they can warn one another against these tendencies.
Turning to social challenges affecting the youth, the bishop expressed concern over rising cases of suicide in the country, noting that young men are among the most affected.
I encourage them that whenever they encounter very serious worries, it's good to share with their fellow colleagues. Perhaps they can see the folly of going towards suicide. They will see that every problem can be sorted in one way or another.
National Youth Chaplain Father Patrick Kamba said youth gatherings such as the AGM are crucial in identifying challenges affecting young people and finding solutions together.
The bishops are aware that all the youth are facing quite a number of problems, a number of challenges, and we are mentioning issues that are really bothering the youth. This is why, as a church, we can just watch and look. We can just look at them and see as if we don't care. We need to chip in and see how best we can come up with interventions that will close those gaps that we have. So this is very, very important. We can't have a church, group that does not interact with each other.
Meanwhile, YCW Malawi President Francisco Piri announced that the movement plans to launch the Sindingazipe project in 2026, aimed at promoting financial literacy, stress management and life skills training among young people struggling with betting and other risky behaviors. The 2025 AGM, which attracted 281 participants, is reportedly to have achieved most of its objectives, including health awareness sessions on breast, cervical and prostate cancer, as well as mental health.
The Road Fund Administration RFA is moved to defend the use of toll gate revenues for road maintenance amid growing public scrutiny and calls for greater transparency from civil society groups. According to RFA Chief Executive Officer Stuart Malata, tolling has become critical to sustaining road works after government failed to remit about 218 billion kwacha in fuel levy arrears over the past 2.5 years. Speaking during a briefing organized by the Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiative seceded ahead of a proposed toll fee adjustment expected to take effect on January 1st, 2026, Malata explained that the fuel levy, which traditionally accounts for about 85% of the fund's revenue, has not been consistently remitted due to policy decisions. Tandiwa Mzumara with the details.
Roads Funds Administration Chief Executive Officer Stuart Malata said the institution is no longer disbursing funds to local councils for routine road maintenance and new works, noting that its finances have been severely strained. He explained that toll fees have helped to partially bridge the widening funding gap caused by growing urban road demands.
Indeed, for 2.5 years, we have not received fuel levy. To date, we are owed around 218 billion Malawi kwacha. You notice that some years ago we had a very vibrant, road rehabilitation program in the city councils, all the 4 councils. That was funded from the fuel levy. But because we haven't been receiving that fuel levy, all those programs, we could not continue.
After touring road patching and maintenance works funded through toll revenues, Roads Authority Chief Executive Officer Amio Champiti said contractors are ready to commence construction of 4 additional toll gates to increase revenue collection. He added that the authority could have completed more toll projects earlier had fuel levy funds been remitted consistently and on time.
It's true. There are plans to add the toll gates because the road network needs to continually be maintained in every direction. And the plans are there for the Mangochi Road, for the M1 from Lilongwe going to Nzuzu. There are 2 toll gates, and also Nchinji Road there's 1 toll gate. So these plans, where the designs were done, the contracts were prepared, tenders were submitted, evaluated, and even negotiated with the contractors. But somehow we had to pend the implementation because of shortage in funding.
The Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiative State Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa then urged the RIFA to enhance accountability by publishing regular income and expenditure reports. He said quarterly disclosures would help rebuild public confidence and show the impact of toll-funded roadworks, especially as the RIFA considers increasing toll fees, a move stated has conditionally supported in light of inflation and currency depreciation.
SIDED speaks for the voiceless. For the past 4 years or so, Malawians have been contributing through toll fees, but the question was, what is it that money is being used for, owing to the poor state of our road, the M1. So today we thought, as a major stakeholder in this equation known as Malawi, the voter and taxpayer would like to appreciate the proceeds that are generated from here. How are they used? This is also coming hot in the wheels that they have just announced an upward adjustment of tolling fees. Now we are here to appreciate if at all the money is being put into its rightful use, and that we can confirm. Secondly, issues of transparency and accountability as a major ingredient in a democratic society like Malawi, we have resolved. In fact, it's a deal done that every 3 months, every quarter, they will be making public what they have collected and what have been spent on.
Meanwhile, the Roads Fund Administration has committed to complying with the call, emphasizing that toll fees remain critical to maintaining Malawi's road network, particularly following the 2023 government decision to scrap the fuel levy in favor of maintaining affordable fuel prices, a policy shift analysts later described as economically unsustainable. For Luntha News, this is Tandiwe Mzumara.
The Center for Social Accountability and Transparency (CSAT) has urged government to restructure the Farm Input Subsidy Program (FISIP) to ensure it serves its intended purpose of supporting poor and vulnerable Malawians. The call follows a government directive ordering civil servants to return fertilizer they illegally redeemed under the program, despite FISIP being designed to benefit resource-poor farmers. CSAT Executive Director Willie Kampandela said government must go beyond recovery of the inputs and impose firm administrative sanctions on all civil servants found to have abused the program. Emmanuel Chocha reports.
Speaking in an interview with Luntha Television, Kambwandila emphasized that the recovery process should be transparency and include public disclosure of the names of civil servants who benefited from the subsidy. He said such measures would deter future abuse and restore public confidence in FISIP, which remains a critical intervention for food security and poverty reduction.
It's a commendable step. However, I think it is our demands that the minister should go beyond issuance of that warning and perhaps demanding that those who are redeemed the fertilizer should give back. We expected to see proper administrative sanctions taken against officers who facilitated this. But again, I think this also confirms our long-standing concerns that maybe the FISP program appears not to be benefiting the intended beneficiaries, who are the poor farmers. I think it is beyond belief that civil servants could find themselves on the list at the expense of the poor family.
Reports indicate that some civil servants illegally enrolled in the program, prompting the government to warn those involved against redeeming inputs, saying offenders risk facing the law. The Ministry of Agriculture officially launched the 2025 FISIP on November 12 in Mchinji district, targeting 1.1 million beneficiaries, each set to receive 50 kilograms of fertilizer and 5 kilograms of seed. A program stakeholders say must be protected from abuse to achieve its goals. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Chuocha.
You are watching news on Luntha television. We'll be back after this short break.
Wachinyamata ozifuna sokola bwino amayenera kulotakataka ndi ntchito zamanja. Inde ichi chifukwa chake Akwamboni Technical College kulonso ku Blantyre akuyitana anyamata wonse ku maphunziro amaluso zamanja osiyanasiyana monga electrical installation and electronics, fabrication and welding, carpentry and joinery, general fitting, detailing and fashion design, omwe ndiwovomerezeka ndi a Technical Entrepreneurial and Vocational Education and Training Authority TVETA. Zofunika ndi certificate ya Form 4 yomwe ili ndi pass mu English, Mathematics ndi phunziro lilonse la Science. Ndi application fee 7,000 kwa jayoka basi yomwe izalipilidwe ku National Bank account number 1345605. Zofunika kuchita katengeni ma application form ku skulu iyi ndi kusankha phunziro limodzi limene mwalifuna, ndipo mukatero phatikizani kopi ya certificate yanu ndi umboni oti mwalipira application fee. Ndipo tsiku lotseka kulandira ma application form ndi pa 27 December 2025. Maphunzirowa azayamba pa 12 January 2026. Tamangani chitani machawi malo sanathe. Mukafuna kudziwa zambiri imbani foni pa 083 137 008 0992 899 765 kapenanso email ku komboni@gmail.com.
If you've just joined us, I know that it's time for news on Luntha television. Now let's have a reminder of the top stories. Pope Leo XIV calls for peace for all children as Christmas nears. Roads Fund Administration defends toll revenue use amid demands for greater transparency. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency calls for fertilizer recovery and reform of FISIP. And in international news, 130 kidnapped Nigerian students freed after 1 month in captivity. Moving on with the news, education expert Rexon Dalama has welcomed the Ministry of Education's decision to ban learning activities during school holidays, saying the practice denies both teachers and learners their right to rest and amounts to illegal commercialization of education, while the Teachers Union of Malawi TUM says it is yet to officially comment on the directive. The education expert was speaking after the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology banned the holiday classes for both public and private schools. Gift Kalunga with the details.
A communication from the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology says school holidays must be strictly observed to allow both teachers and learners to rest, warning that conducting lessons during the break is against the official school calendar and will not be allowed in either public and private schools. Supporting the directive, education expert Rexon Dalama has noted that the practice of conducting classes during holidays defeats the purpose of school calendar. He explained that holidays are deliberately set aside to allow both teachers and learners to rest, recover, and return to school refreshed for intensive learning, noting that rest is essential for effective performance just as it is for machines. Ndalama further argued that schools operating during holidays and charging parents fees are acting illegally, as such arrangements fall outside the approved education system. He added that the decision by government is timely and necessary to protect families from unnecessary financial pressure. However, he clarified that if a parent feels their child is lagging behind academically, it is acceptable for the parent to privately engage a teacher to to assist the learner outside the formal school setting, as this remains a matter of personal choice rather than an institutional practice.
A whole school to operate on a basis of part-time teaching, where parents are asked to pay some sort of fees, it's bad on two grounds. One, the school calendar is set in such a way that the holidays are meant for both teachers and learners to rest. Every human being and even a machine needs time to rest. So the holidays are meant that teachers should rest, learners should rest, so that when they go back to school, they are fresh for another 3 months of learning, intensive learning. That works with the mind. So it's proper that people should rest. Second, when the whole school operates during holidays and charge fees, that's illegal, because like operating a separate set of learning institution with separate setting of payment.
On its part, Teachers Union of Malawi, TUM, General Secretary Charles Kumchenga said that they cannot comment on the matter up until they receive an official communication from the ministry. To enforce the directive, the Ministry of Education has instructed education administrators at district and local levels, including district education managers, DMs, and primary education advisors, pairs, to be vigilant. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
In sports, NBS Bank has expressed dissatisfaction with the manner in which the NBS Bank National Division League has been conducted, noting that the competition has already produced 3 teams that have earned promotion to the TNM Super League. Speaking during a match between Mitundu Baptist and Gender United at Maliri Stadium, NBS Bank Relationship Officer Chatepa Gunde commended the teams that participated in this year's tournament. Patrick Pupa has more in this report.
The 2025 NBS Bank National Division League has been a significant competition, having produced 3 teams that have secured promotion to the 2026 TNM Super League season. Gunde hailed the league, which is in its inaugural season, as a success, as it remained the only competition specifically designed to groom teams for elite league football.
Very much happy as a bank, and we are really promising all our customers that we really want to do these things, and we will continue sponsoring the league, seeing that it is progressing very well. Our intentions are being met, and we are really happy for that.
Meanwhile, Mitundu Baptist head coach Odro Makonyora has praised his players for their strong and consistent performance throughout the league.
No, it's a good team. If I could describe the team, I don't think I'm missing more positions. But to say the truth, we have good players within the team who can still cope up to the heights of the Super League. Good players, because when we're talking about the Super League game, it's coordination. It doesn't mean that the best players, you would imagine some teams, they have good players, they're buying good players, but they're not doing better in Super League. So it doesn't mean having good players is where you can succeed in Super League, but the coordination which is there amongst the players and how you are training.
Lead Lions were crowned champions, with Baka City finishing second and Mitundu Baptist ending the season in 3rd position. Rahim Mtondera is currently the league's top scorer with 24 goals, with 1 game remaining for each team to conclude the 2025 NBS Bank National Division League season. For Luntha News, this is Patrick Pupa.
And in other news, after 1 month in captivity, 130 Nigerian school children abducted in Niger State have been released, President Bola Tinubu's office said on Sunday. A spokesperson said they were freed after a military intelligence-driven operation and were expected to arrive in Niger's state capital, Mina, on Monday. We have an African News report read by Tandiwe Mzumara.
The children were among more than 300 people kidnapped from a Catholic boarding school in Papiri village on 21st of November. Some managed to escape almost immediately, and 100 others were freed earlier this month. 35 students and teachers are still unaccounted for. Authorities said further details will be communicated. Another presidential spokesperson said in a post on social media that all the students have now been released. One of Nigeria's worst mass kidnappings in recent years, the abduction put the spotlight on the worsening security situation in northern Nigeria, where armed gangs frequently target schools for ransom. Tinubu has been under pressure at home and from United States President Donald Trump, who has accused Nigeria of failing to protect Christians. Nigerian authorities do not usually say much about rescue efforts, and arrests are rare. Analysts say it is because ransoms are usually paid despite officials not admitting to doing so.
With that item, we've also come to the end of our today's bulletin, but let's have a recap of the top stories before we go. Pope Leo XIV calls for peace for all children as Christmas nears. Roads Fund Administration defends toll revenue use amid demands for greater transparency. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency calls for fertilizer recovery and reform of FISEP. And in international news, 130 kidnapped Nigerian students freed after 1 month in captivity. You have been with me, Charity Chilanga. Thanks so much for giving me company and continue enjoying the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Goodbye.